Hello.
Hola.
Bonjour.
Привет. 你好. Hello and welcome to Language with Chu. Why would you want to learn a language? Well, if you ask me, there's many reasons, but let's break it down into several categories and see which one fits to your case. And if there's something that I forget, feel free to comment below. For me, one of the main ones is neuroplasticity. And there have been several studies about bilingual brains and how learning at least 2 languages or one extra language other than your mother tongue is super beneficial for your mind and your brain. So it prevents Alzheimer's, dementia, etc. It increases your memory. Your gray matter becomes denser, so the part of your brain that has the neurons becomes denser. And there's also more synapses, so more connections between the neurons in certain areas. And the white matter, so the part that connects everything, is also more active. And then it's interesting too because there's parts of our brain that remain a little dormant after we've learned our mother tongue. And maybe from 7 or 8 years old, we just stop using them and they become active again as you learn another language. They also said that bilingual people are better at handling new situations and switching between tasks. And they come up with more creative solutions when facing a problem. And then they also are said to have a little more critical thinking because they're used to cracking codes, solving puzzles. If you ever learned a foreign language, you know what it is to be stuck or not understand a rule or something, and you try to figure it out. And when you do, it's like, eureka! You know, it's really like puzzle solving. Now, there's also studies where they show that it's not just the left hemisphere which tends to be dominant for language, but also the right hemisphere, because as you're learning the sounds, the prosody, the music of the language, you use the right hemisphere. And also when you learn global meaning, and then you have the more analytical part, the left part of the brain, that figures out the rules of the words, etc. And there's also more activity in the hippocampus, which is the part that helps you recall things, store memories. It's kind of like your autobiography in the brain, but it also helps with memories and of all kinds. And when you learn a new language, you're constantly activating those, not just short-term memory. Did I memorize these 5 words? But how do I retrieve the information that until now has been a little passive and make it active? So there are lots of advantages for neuroplasticity. I know 3 languages very well, 2 or 3 not so well. I can't say that I'm any smarter, frankly, but I am good at switching between tasks, for example. I don't know if that's an effect of speaking several languages or not. You'd have to see for yourself. I can't claim to be any smarter than you are, but I certainly like knowing several languages. Okay, and then there's also the cultural and social aspect, because you learn a lot about other cultures and how to interact with other people, etc. One of the nice things about it, I think, that often gets ignored is how much it opens a door to new information. When you get good at a language and you can do a search for something that interests you and find papers, books, etc. in your second or third, fourth language, it's really exciting because it's stuff that wasn't accessible in English, which is the main language of science or research, etc. And I just find that, that's great when I find something in a foreign language that I can read or listen to. Then there's an emotional aspect that many people attribute a lot of importance to, and it's the idea that you feel slightly different when you speak another language other than your mother tongue. For some people, that's the main motivation. So, like to explore themselves in a different way, or say to bond with the in-laws if you're married to somebody who's not your nationality, etc. I think there is something to it, and also, for example, when you do therapy in a foreign language, if you ever needed therapy or coaching or anything, you find that when you're using your non-native language, you're more restricted in a sense, but it also allows you to get to the bottom of things faster, in my opinion, because you can't make it flowery, you can't make excuses. You're like, I feel bad and this is why. So that's another nifty reason to learn a language. But that said, you need a good reason. Maybe you're somebody who started learning a language and never continued, dropped it. Maybe you decided that you weren't good at it, etc. I think the key here is that you have to have a motivation beyond the language. If you just say, I want to learn X language because I like what it sounds like, or I met one French person and I want to learn French, etc., It's not enough of a motivation to keep you doing it. You have to be able to envision yourself in the future when you actually are able to converse in that language. You have to have a goal beyond just pure curiosity in the moment. And then you have to work on your beliefs about how good you are at learning a language, etc. Nobody's too old or too bad at learning it. I don't think it has to do, I mean, yes, there is a certain aspect that has to do with an inclination or a talent, like a gift, like everything we do in life. But with hard work and the right method, anybody can learn a language. And you see it over and over in immigrants who move to a country and actually do learn because they want to, as opposed to others that don't want to learn, etc. So, but you might want to check out my video on self-talk, because some of those beliefs, some of the things we tell ourselves are often very negative when it comes to learning something new, and a language is included in that, and becoming good at something. And then finally, I think you have to have a good method and a good routine. All of us have personal preferences and personal learning styles. I'm more auditive. A lot of people are more visual. So depending on what your learning style is, you can adapt your routine and your method to use your strong points, but also while developing the weaker points, because it's even more of a challenge and it makes it more interesting altogether. I wouldn't use rote memorization or flashcards or even Duolingo or Babel or those. I think those are way too passive, and I think it's best when you have a more of a natural progression while you learn the 4 skills, so speaking, writing, listening, and reading all together. Speaking can start a little later while you accumulate input, but yeah, you have to find your own method, and you have to find something that keeps you motivated and keeps you on a routine, so that you wake up and you know that you're going to do it. It's not like a chore. It's not something that you have to decide, oh my God, what am I going to do today? You just have a plan already. You have the materials that you're going to need, etc. Well, that I'm going to leave for another video, because I do have some people to recommend, actually, that, in my opinion, really got it down to an art, and it helped me a lot for learning languages. But I'll leave that for another time. But for now, I would say just ask yourself, why do you want to learn a language? Or have you not wanted to learn a language, but this video or others motivate you to learn it? If you're struggling with memory, if you want to take a trip somewhere, move out of your country, etc., or whatever your reasons are, they have to be strong enough, and they have to motivate you at the core, not just a superficial motivation, or otherwise you'll drop it like anything else you learn. So I would say start with that. Make a goal, be aware of your goal, be aware of your reasons, make a list if you want, and envision yourself in the future when you actually master. We never really master, I think, a language, but when you're really good at it. And then see what happens. And then from then on, you find the right method, the right teacher or tutor if you need one. But a lot of it can be self-taught nowadays with all the information that we have available. So I'll talk about that on a next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know on the comments if you have a language in mind, or if you're learning one and you're still motivated. And see you next time for more language stuff on my channel. Bye-bye.